There are a lot of NBA fans that wonder how NBA teams got their name and logo. And if you clicked on this video, you're probably one of them. Because some teams and logos just don't make sense. Like the TrailBlazers. Why are they called that? And what the hell is this logo? Well, we're gonna go through all that today. Also be sure to stay tuned for another video where I actually redesign every single NBA logo.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
Starting in alphabetical order by mascot, first we have the 76ers. Now this one should be pretty obvious, so I'll keep it short and sweet. 76 refers to 1776 when America got its independence, which Philly played a big part in, which is why their colors are red, white, and blue, and there are 13 stars on their logo, similar to the 13 stripes on the flag for the original colonies.
Loomale pakkunud ka toidupoolist, kuid kits on eelistanud siiski ise kuuseoksi söömas käia.
The Bucks logo is also a pretty obvious one because it's, well, a buck. But where did the name Bucks come from? Well, the city of Milwaukee actually had a contest for the name of the team, with over 40 people entering. The name that won was actually the Robins, after the state bird, but the committee actually went with the second option of Bucks, beating out skunks, beavers, badgers, hornets, and more. They selected the Bucks because they were more rampant in Wisconsin than the other choices. R.D. Treblecox is also largely credited with the name creation, despite being just one of many to submit Bucks to the contest. The reason that he is credited rather than the other many participants was because of the reasoning he gave. He said Bucks are agile, fast, and good jumpers, which everyone saw as perfect characteristics for a basketball team.
Somebody once told me the world is...
The Chicago Bulls are another one where the logo just matches the name. But how did Chicago land on Bulls? Well, Chicago was previously named the meat-packing capital of the world. That title is now held by a town in Texas. But the Bulls and meat are a huge part of the city's culture and history, as well as the Chicago Union stockyards. Some other names that were proposed were like the Toros and the Matadors, but they also essentially mean the same thing.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Much like the Bucks, the Cavaliers' name was created from a contest. Jerry Tomko was the one who proposed the name Cavaliers, stating that they represent a group of daring and fearless men whose life pact was never surrender no matter the odds. The name beat out the Cleveland Jays, the Foresters, Towers, and the Cleveland Presidents, since Ohio produced 7 presidents, second only to Virginia. The old logo has a more distinct depiction of a cavalier, and the rest of them just simplified the design to only have the sword and the sea.
Those kids are after me, Lucky Charms. But thanks to me red balloon, I've made a clean getaway. Well, looky there, a shooting star, and it's heading this way.
The Celtics one is also pretty clear-cut like the 76ers. Boston has a very rich Irish culture and demographic, which is rampant throughout the city. The owner of the team at the time, Walter Brown, chose it to honor the city's heritage and come up with Lucky for the logo, which has remained relatively unchanged to this day, becoming an icon for team mascots. He picked the name over the Olympians, the Whirlwinds, and the Unicorns.
That's got to be the best parade I've ever seen.
So it would seem.
The Clippers are one I don't think the logo does justice to. The team was originally the Buffalo Braves, but when moving to San Diego, they felt they needed a new name. So like many others, a contest was held. Clippers actually refers to a type of ship. These ships would pass through San Diego, which is why the old logo has 3 triangles to try and resemble the sails on the ships. However, when they relocated, the team kept the name and just evolved to a simple LAC. Nathan editing here. So as I was making this video, the Los Angeles Clippers announced their new logo, and I really like it. It's got a basketball inside of the ship, and it actually has a ship as part of their old name.
I make a motherfucker say, oh yeah, I'm cold as a lion with no hair. If you ever see me fighting in the forest with a grizzly bear, help the bear, cause that bitch gon' need it, and I'm home.
The Grizzlies were originally located in Vancouver. The owners wanted a name that portrayed Vancouver in British Columbia. The original name was actually the Mounties, but they changed it to the Grizzlies, which ran wild in British Columbia, and also made a more menacing nickname. When they moved to Memphis, they wanted to change their name again since there's no Grizzlies in Tennessee, but fans and season ticket holders actually protested the name change, wanting to keep the Grizzlies since it's a more intimidating name.
No, I wish to be the head of the tri-state area! Ooh, shoot, I just heard that! Yep, I'm a head. A big old head.
The Hawks were originally the Tri-City Blackhawks, Tri-City after Molina, Rock Island, Illinois, and Davenport, Iowa. It was named after the Indians that originally owned the land, more specifically, Indian Chief Black Hawk. The team then moved to Milwaukee, and it was shortened to just the Hawks, which it stayed as.
Whatever we wear, it's gonna be hot. Try that?
Then I don't need a jacket. Thanks, Arthur.
Like many others on this list, the Heat was created off a contest, held in October 1986. With more than 20,000 entries, which also included the Sharks, Tornadoes, Beaches, and Barracudas, the name Heat was selected based off Miami's brutal temperate climate. Since heat can't really be personified well besides a thermometer, they decided on a basketball that looks on fire.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes!
Once again, this one was made by, drumroll please, a naming contest. But this one is actually interesting. The Hornets were previously the Bobcats, but when expansion happened, there was a debate to whether to keep the name or not, with Steve Kerr saying, "It sounds like a girls' softball team." So the team went to the contest. But the difference is the naming happened in 2014, and the contest was not in 2014. Instead, they pulled the result of a 1987 naming contest in which the Hornets was a forerunner because of the American Rebellion in Charlotte being called a hornet's nest by the British.
Puff out your chest. Now say tax exemption.
Tax exemption.
Now you must acquire a taste for freeform jazz. Okay, SpongeBob, you ready?
The Utah Jazz originally started in New Orleans. New Orleans is the capital of jazz, which should be no surprise. Jazz is a massive part of the culture of the town, and the Utah team just carried the name with them, with the J resembling an eighth note.
You do it, Mort. Why'd you say you don't like King Julian?
I don't like King Julian. I love him.
The Kings were originally called the Kansas City Royals, similar to the MLB team, from a naming contest. When the team moved, they decided to keep the royalty theme, but change it slightly to the Kings.
Double fucking overtime! What the fuck, baby? New York is fucking back!
The term Knickerbockers is a 1600s term used to refer to Dutch settlers in New York. The symbol of New York itself as a whole became Father Knickerbocker. When the NBA team needed a name, the executives all put names into a hat to pull out, but most of them put in Knickerbockers, which was later shortened to just the Knicks. It's hard to make a Knickerbocker into a logo, so the team opted for just the name on a triangular circle design. Much like the Clippers, the Lakers are a team done a disservice with the logo and the team's history when moving to LA. The team was originally in Minneapolis and was deemed the land of 10,000 lakes, so the team was called the Lakers. But when they moved cities, they kept the name despite LA not really having many bodies of water. Much like the Clippers, rather than keeping something from the team's name history, they just made the LA on a basketball and called it a day for their logo. The name Magic comes from a poll in the Orlando Sentinel, with other names given like the Tropics, Heat, which Miami already took, and the Magic because of Disney World being one of the only tourist attractions in the city at the time. The logo shows stars and sparkles to try to resemble the Magic. The Mavericks were another team made by a contest. The Dallas radio hosted the contest and fans sent in names for the Mavericks, Wranglers, and Express. And the logo originally was just an M with a hat. But to make things more exciting, they made a logo more encompassing with the name with the horse.
Yeah, they tryna be crack. Yeah, she wanted me cut it. That bitch is a baby. I'm a fucking house.
The New York the New York Jets, the New York Nets. Sorry, sometimes I get those confused. Jokes aside, that's literally where the team name comes from. They were originally the New York Nets, and the name came just because they wanted all the professional teams in the city to rhyme, and Nets obviously refers to basketball.
Chicken motherfucking egg nuggets! Chicken motherfucking egg nuggets! Chicken motherfucking egg nuggets!
The Nuggets were originally called the Rockets before the merge of the NBA, but the NBA already had the Rockets, and because NASA is in Houston, they opted for the NBA to keep their name and forced Denver to change theirs. The Nuggets refer to the Colorado Gold Rush in the mountains in 1860s, similar to the 49ers name. The name was also victim of a naming contest. The logo has the mountains and golden pickaxes to depict the team's history.
Stop crying. It won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot of work to do starting right now.
Yet another logo that does not do the team justice, the Pacers were named after the Indy 500 and the history of pace cars in the city, encompassing the city's culture of racing. But their logo itself is just a simple P.
Hey, Nigel. Would you look at that? What? Sun's barely up.
The newest team name, the Pelicans, come from the state's national bird. Being a coastal city, pelicans are everywhere in New Orleans. The other names proposed were the Brass, honing back to the original jazz name, and the Crew, which is an organization that holds parades during Carnival and Mardi Gras, another huge part of the city's culture.
I wish I could have. They say it was amazing. He won 3 Piston Cups.
He did what in his cup? I think the heat's starting to get to them.
You would think that the Pistons got their name from being in Motor City, but it actually started well before then. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, the owner, Zollner, named it after his business of making pistons. When the team moved, they kept the name because it was perfect for the motor industry in Detroit. The Raptors were also chosen by a naming contest in 1993. The year the contest was held is important because Jurassic Park was also released the same year, being a huge success, which became the unofficial inspiration for the team name.
Stop. Andy! Wait a minute. I just lit a rocket. Rockets explode!
As previously mentioned, the Rockets were named the Rockets before the NBA merger. The team was originally in San Diego like the Clippers, which also had a massive space industry, so they were named the Rockets. The NASA Museum and headquarters are in Houston, which gives the team the perfect reason to still use the Rockets name after relocating, encompassing the town's innovation and culture.
washing our uniforms in HEB Bravo 2X detergent.
They smell like a tropical breeze or a field of gardenias.
With Cowboys being a big part of Texas, it was inevitable one of the teams would take inspiration from it. As previously mentioned, the Mavericks logo originally was just an M with the cowboy hat. The San Antonio team name was originally the Gunslingers, but before they even played a game, the name was changed for being too violent into the Spurs, a metal spike on cowboy boots to get horses to move.
What, are we gonna fight the sun?
The Suns were also named by a naming contest as well, with 28,000 entries and picking the name out of a hat, winning over the Scorpions, Rattlers, and Thunderbirds and Cactuses.
Thunder Buddies for life, right, Johnny?
Fucking right.
All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song.
All right.
When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder Buddy.
OKC were also determined from a naming contest after moving from Seattle. Fans initially chose Bison, Wind, Energy, Marshalls, and Barons, but the name made sense for the thunderstorms in the area with Tornado Alley, and OKC is also home of the U.S. Army's 45th Infantry Division, the Thunderbirds. Well, I know this is getting a bit boring now, but the Timberwolves were also selected by none other than a naming contest. The two finalists were the Polars and the Timberwolves, but the city council actually got to make the final decision and chose the Timberwolves.
Something about getting out into nature. It's just so peaceful. Well, time to ruin that. Some people go on hikes for the scenic views. I go on hikes for the bitches and the...
As if NBA owners couldn't name things themselves, the TrailBlazers were made from yet another naming contest. The name that won was actually the Pioneers, but there's another local college team called the Pioneers, so they went with something different. They tried to keep the same theme with the TrailBlazers, with Lewis and Clark's expedition ending near Portland. The logo is supposed to resemble a pinwheel designed by the then GM's cousin, with the colors supposed to be the 10 players on the court 5v5.
This is Sparta!
The Golden State Warriors got their name back in the early days of the NBA in 1946 in Philly. When the team moved to Oakland, they kept the name and made the logo into the Golden Gate Bridge.
Dragon Eyes! Tiger Claw! Vorpal Hand! Blazing Feet! Beauteous...
The Wizards were originally named the Bullets because of all the barracks in the city the team had moved to, but there were so many shootings in Washington that they felt the name had too much negative press around it, and they held, well, you guessed it, a naming contest. The name Wizards beat out the Dragons, Express, Stallions, and Sea Dogs. However, many debate that the name should be changed again as the team moves to Virginia, as they feel that the Wizards could be negatively connotated to a certain part of history. For more history on the Wizards, I did a breakdown on them just like the Pistons, so go check that out. I know that a lot of teams were made by naming contests, which doesn't make things too exciting, but hopefully you still learn something. A lot of you guys like when I make these NBA history style videos, so hopefully you like this one. And again, this one was kind of just a shorter video for the uploads, and was kind of a precursor to my other video, in which I'm remaking all of the NBA logos, so stay tuned for that. In other news, my channel will now be decided by sub-voting. I'm kidding, obviously. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.